In the United States, German is always like a, oh, like why German? It's so ha. Hi guys, welcome to this YouTube video. My name is Montana and I was an exchange student in Germany, but today I am here to teach you the ways that I became fluent, at least conversationally, in German in 6 months, which is kind of a tough challenge. I was 17 when I moved to Germany with the Congress Bundestag Youth Exchange Program, and I just wanted to start off and say that obviously the best way to learn a language, in my opinion, is to go and live in that country, which is what I did, and unfortunately not everyone can do that, so this video is actually going to focus on all the things that you can do that are not reliant on living in the country necessarily. In this video, I'm going to start with the most general, beginner-friendly tips in learning German, and then go into the more kind of advanced ways that I practice German and still use to this day in order to keep up my language skills, since I'm no longer living in Germany. And a lot of people probably ask, why did you learn German? Because at least in the United States, German is always like a, oh, like why German? It's so ha, and it sounds like they're all mad and stuff. But I personally really like the German language. I think the words are funny because a lot of them are like English words, but in a funny order, or they just kind of sound fun to pronounce. So I love German, but I went because of this exchange program, and if you're interested in that, then more information is in the description box. But anyway, my first tip that I have, and basically how I started, was I did the whole like how to learn German, looked up all those websites and what to use, and I did use Duolingo, but I found that it was kind of hard because the way Duolingo works is it's just like starts giving you all these vocab words, and you're just like, it's like all of a sudden asking you to make the sentences, but it was really overwhelming for me because I knew full zero, like no German at all, and I was like, how are they all of a sudden making this word plural and adding this grammar? So after kind of failing with Duolingo, I switched to German YouTubers, and there are so many good ones. If you just look up like learning German on YouTube, you can find so many. I know I watched a ton of the German with Anya series, a ton of the Easy German. Basically what Easy German does is it just gives you all of these videos of people speaking German in the real world with English and German, I want to say Untertitels, but that's German, undertitles, no, closed captions. And basically you like just listen, and even if you don't understand anything, it's basic stuff that you can kind of pick up on what they're saying, like holding up a fruit and being like, this is an apple, it costs $10. That was dumb because apples do not cost $10, but you know what I'm saying. Another one is like learn German with Herr Antrim, but like I was saying, if you just look up anything on YouTube for beginners, you can learn a language on YouTube now. It's amazing. The next thing that I did was look up the top 100 words used in German, and then you can go on to do like top 200, top 1,000 words used in German. But these top 100 words will get you so far. I think there's studies shown that the top 100 words are used so much significantly more than all of the other words in a language. In order to kind of like learn some of those, there are tons of Quizlet lists. If you don't know what Quizlet is, it just like it gives you these options to take little tests, to do note cards, to do spelling of the words. So I would definitely look those up. And then the next thing that I started doing was speaking to myself alone in German, or thinking about it in my head, and I still do this today because it really helps you keep your German fresh, and it sounds dumb, but after a while you just kind of get used to it. For me, in the car, I do this a lot. I'll just start German, I'll just start like thinking in German or speaking in German and being like, yeah, today, like, okay, I'll give you a little example. So I'm like sitting in my car, I'm driving, and I'm like, ja, so heute habe ich das gemacht, ich muss immer noch diese Dinge machen, und dann gehe ich zu Walmart, oder dann muss ich nach Aldi gehen, and I just think of all these things in my head, whatever's coming in and out, and I just say it in German, and I'm practicing with myself, and I sound like an idiot if anyone else is in the car, but if it's just you, you don't need to be embarrassed. Nobody else can hear you. Next thing is just keeping a notebook with all of the vocabulary you really want to remember. And if you have a vocab word that you just can't seem to remember, then try to use it throughout the day at least 2 or 3 times. That's one of the best ways to learn vocab. Make sure you put it in a sentence. So for me, I could never remember what trotzdem meant, which means nevertheless, because it's just like one of those words that is used a lot in German, but it's not used a lot in English. So I tried to use it more and more in my conversation, and then bam, now I can use it normally, if that makes sense. Also, I had this stupid little dinky dictionary, like English to German, that I would carry around with me everywhere. You don't technically need that because you can use Google Translate now, but something about the dictionary you kind of learn more from because like you have to search for the word, and with Google Translate I find that you can get too attached to it and it's just too easy to put in whatever your whole sentence you want to say. So having a physical dictionary can be super duper helpful. Find a language partner who is willing to learn your language and help you with whatever language you want to speak. So if you want to learn German, then try to find somebody who speaks German and will talk to you, and then you can kind of help them with English. This shouldn't be too hard if you know English, because a lot of Germans know English already and want to practice and are super willing to help you with your German. Honestly, I bet if you wrote in the comment section below, like some people would respond and be like, oh yeah, I'll totally speak German with you, because there are a ton of people who want to practice learning their languages. There's some platforms, if you look them up, like learning language with other people on Google, that will connect you. I don't know how safe those are. I've never really used one, but I know that they exist. One thing that I did was constantly repeated to myself why I wanted to learn German. This sounds really like dumb, like why would you do that? But so often you just get sick of learning language, especially when you feel like you're not getting anywhere with it and you're not conversational, you're not to that point where you can just understand everything. So I kept writing down reasons why I wanted to learn German, like learn it so you can have full conversations, learn it for business, learn it for your future. And I would just have these everywhere in my room or just in notebooks. It would just be like, Montana, you need to learn German. Just constantly reminding yourself to practice is super important, because you have to stay motivated and nobody else is going to tell you to learn the language. Especially for me, I kind of got to this plateau point where I was like, oh, I already understand everyone in Germany, like why should I keep learning? But I just kept reminding myself that I'm not at the point where I want to be and that I want to be more fluent and learn more. My last 3 are that if you're listening to something or watching a movie or doing something in German, don't stop every single time you don't understand. Like if you're reading a book, you cannot stop every single time to define what you don't know. It's not gonna work. I tried it. Trust me, it's just a big waste of time because you end up never actually remembering those words. What you gotta do is just use the context clues, and if you really don't understand a word and it keeps coming up, that's when you can take the time to look it up. For me, the best strategy is just like choosing a show to watch on Netflix that they have in German and just watching the whole thing and not looking anything up, but over time, it just kind of absorbs into your brain, which sounds like crazy, but I swear it works. That's kind of my more advanced tip, is to watch all your shows in German and all your movies in German. I know that's not always feasible if you don't have Netflix or something, but there are plenty of movies. It's so weird. You can look up certain German movies and they'll just come up and it's like free to watch, but it's not illegal. It's not one of those sketchy pirated sites. They're just certain sites that have free German movies, so try checking that out. Those ones that are actually German tend to do a better job of like teaching you German culture too, and they have better like voices. It's not the same voice actors that Netflix uses on every single show and movie. My last tip is to listen to podcasts. There are so many good ones out there on Spotify, which is free, and on other platforms too. The number one reason why I recommend podcasts over movies or shows, which I need to listen to podcasts more, I need to actually do this, but podcasts give you a better understanding of how Germans speak. Most importantly, rhythmically, I think that's the word, because it's real people having conversations with each other. So you just hear how Germans speak. You can learn all the words but still never sound German, and in my case, I want to sound more German. I don't think sounding like a native is the entire like purpose of learning a language. It's more just for understanding, but personally I would like to sound more like a native, so podcasts are really good for that. And sometimes when people speak in the podcast, I'll just like repeat their sentences to see if I can sound more like them. That's another tip that I would say has improved the way I speak German. It's kind of hard to understand the podcasts because they use slang and they use more conversational words that you're not gonna write down and learn, but that's honestly really helpful if you already reached that intermediate level, because then you can start sounding more like a native and understanding how people speak in everyday life. If you guys have any questions about the German language process or about anything, please leave them in the comment section below. Like I said, I would always suggest going to Germany, but that's totally not an option for everyone. And one of the YouTubers that I recommended, Herr Antrim, he actually learned German in the United States and never went to Germany. He is a like total proof that you can learn German fluently and never have even lived there for more than a month. Keep up hope and keep learning German. I swear it'll be worth it in the long run. Also, if you guys want, check out some of my other videos that I have in German. I've got vlogs in German. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and yeah, bleib gesund und tschüss.